If you have a desire to become a better version of your current self, then this podcast is for you. I share with you helpful thoughts, tips, and stories surrounding fitness and self-improvement which you can apply to your life today. So for those of you that want to take control of your life, to learn, to grow, to become that which you desire most, I am your host, Connor Malone, and this is the pursuit of constant improvement. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 non-negotiables of a successful routine. Now, before we get into what those 4 non-negotiables are, I want to make it super clear on what I mean by that. And to explain that to you, I want to go a little bit deeper into what a routine is and what would make a successful routine. Because with a routine, obviously everybody has individual routines. And the point of today's episode is that this applies to everybody. No matter what you're trying to achieve with your routine, these 4 non-negotiables will be applicable to you. Because with a routine, that's just a sequence of actions in terms of things, habits and actions that we do every single day, every single week, every single month. And as you probably already know, the habits and actions that we follow out and carry out every single day will dictate where we end up in life. So of course, our routine is super important for that. Whatever's in your routine is going to dictate where you end up. So that's the key component we need to understand here. Now, a successful routine will be individual to each person because success is a relative term. That's what Jim Rohn used to say, which means success is different things to different people. However, in today's episode, we're going to take a successful routine as a routine that helps you become the type of person that you want to become. So no matter if you want to get better within your career, you want to improve your physique, your mind, or a combination of all of those things, this episode will help you, these non-negotiables will help you in creating a routine that's successful and helping you achieve exactly that. Now, in today's episode, as I said, it is applicable to everybody. I genuinely believe that this would be applicable to Jeff Bezos, right, who's one of the richest men, if not the richest man in the world. He used to own Amazon. And it would also be applicable to Jeff down the street, right, Jeff that works in Spoons. And the reason I say that is because these aren't necessarily fixed habits. There's only one of these things that is a one individual habit. These other things are really just, they can be applied to absolutely everybody in every situation. So I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this and hear how you could apply it to your life going forward. So essentially, any human being that wants to become a better version of themselves, I believe that these 4 non-negotiables will help them do exactly that. Now, to get straight into habit number 1, it is creating a weekly plan. Because when it comes to what we just said in terms of the things that we carry out on a daily and a weekly basis will result in who we become, that means that we need to create clear intention with our weeks. We need to make it clear what needs to be done in a week in order to make it a successful week. So that is why we always start with a weekly plan. So if you think of what do you want long term? Because whatever you want long term, you imagine that you'd already have achieved that, right? What would you have had to have done to have achieved that? Whatever those habits are, those need to be part of your routine. And a weekly plan allows us to put those into our routine. It allows us to plan a week ahead and set intention for the week. Because one of the biggest things it does for me is it allows me to define if I have actually had a successful week. Because I used to struggle a while ago when I first got into self-improvement, particularly in business. I would finish a week and I would think, oh, well, I've put in a lot of effort, but has it been a successful week? I don't know. And I would always believe that I could do more. Now, that is quite a harmful thing long term. So what I started to do was make it clear what my intentions were for the week. And I'd done that for a weekly plan. Because no matter how much you get done, if you can't come to the end of the week and say, right, well, this is what I intended to do, and I either did or didn't do it, then you can't determine whether that week has been successful or not. So a weekly plan will help you do that. It gives you clarity in your weeks. So it gives you clarity and it gives you clear priorities. So what I do is I'm not going to go into the actual individual process of how I plan my weeks, but I'll give you a little bit of insight in the sense of one of the things I do is I create clear priorities. So that could be 3 to 5 things that I will measure my week off of. So 3 to 5 tasks that if I do, would make it a successful week. Because in any time that I feel overwhelmed during the week, I can look back to my weekly plan and think, right, this is your intention for the week. Go out and do that. Again, that gives me clarity going forward. It gives me clear priorities, because Seneca once said, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favourable. And what he means by that is, if you're just going somewhere and you don't actually know where the end destination is, doesn't matter all the external factors, even like luck, you're not going to get to where you want to be. Okay, if you're trying to get to one position, you think of it as he explains it in terms of a ship with sails. You have an end destination, so you know where you want to go. Whereas if you don't know where you want to go, no wind is favourable. Okay, so it's so important that with a weekly routine, it helps us clarify exactly what we want from that week. That's how you create clarity going ahead with your weeks from there. So a simple way to do that is just ask, what would make my week a success? Because as I said, that's how I measure my weeks from there. It makes sure that you're doing the right things in your week. Because if that is in alignment with the type of person or the type of result that you want to achieve, then there you go, you have a well-planned week. Because when I first began in self-improvement, I had all these habits that I was bringing. I was trialing different apps. I was trialing different habits. But to be honest, it wasn't really pushing me anywhere specific. I was just going pretty hopelessly. And that's something a lot of guys say to me, a lot of young guys in particular. They say, listen, I'm doing all these things, but I still feel somewhat directionless. I don't really have purpose to my weeks. I don't really know what to do when. And that's because they don't have a weekly plan. So creating a weekly plan, whether you are Jeff Bezos or Jeff from down the pub, will help give you clarity, will help give you clear priorities in your week. I genuinely do believe that. Because I don't believe that Jeff Bezos, or any successful person for that matter, goes through their week with no clear intention, no clear targets. I genuinely believe, no matter how they do it, that they have some form of weekly plan. They know where their time has to be spent. They know where their effort lies. And that is how we make a successful week. So again, that is the first thing I do for all my weeks. I do it on a Sunday. I plan my week ahead, and I would encourage you to do the same thing. So find out, where do you want to be? What do you need to do in a week to help you get closer to that? And then whatever those things are that would help you get closer, say, right, if I do these things to a high standard, that's a successful week. And I promise you that will help give you clarity pushing forward your week. Because how much easier and just generally better is it when you know what has to be done? One of the reasons I feel that I struggled at school was because, well, first of all, I was thick as mince. But the other thing was that I genuinely felt like I didn't know what had to be done. Like, the effort was there, but I didn't listen. It was my own fault. But what I'm getting at here is, when you make it clear what has to be done, the only thing is effort. That's the only thing that's required. It's simple. You know what needs to be done, so now all that's needed is effort. And that's what a weekly plan will allow you to do. So I would highly, highly recommend that if you do not have that, you make it a non-negotiable in your week, and it will make your weeks so much more successful, your routine as a whole. Now, habit number 2 is the exact opposite of that. It is a weekly review. So I actually do both of mine at the same time. So on a Sunday, I will plan my week ahead, and I will also review the week that has just been. Because planning your weeks is a great first step, but reviewing them, it takes you to another level. Because you can keep going, planning your weeks, doing your best, planning your weeks, doing your best, but some things will work and some things won't. And the only way to find out what is and what isn't working is by reviewing your weeks, by looking back on them and saying, right, actually asking yourself, what went well this week? Or what didn't go well? And then you know what to change, then you know how to move forward. That's self-improvement at its core. It's realising what's going well or what's not going well and changing that. And the only way you can do that, as I said, is through reflecting. So reviewing your weeks is such a good way to do that. It allows you to learn from mistakes and keep you accountable. And there's a really good quote that says, I will keep constant watch over myself, and most usefully will put each day up for review. For this is what makes us evil, that none of us look back upon our own lives. We reflect upon only that which we are about to do, and yet our plans from the future descend from the past. And that last one is so important. That was Seneca who said that, and he said, our plans for the future descend from the past. We learn a lot from the past, whether that be mistakes or even things that we do well. Like, you can look and say, right, what am I doing well? What's pushing me forward? Great, now you know to repeat that. You might find that, right, these things are going really well, so I need to put more effort towards that. These things aren't going well and they're not serving me, so you remove that. But again, the only way to find out all of these things is to review your week, is to look back on it. And it just helps us further live with intention. It helps us create clear purpose in our weeks by reviewing what's going well and what's not going well. Because again, as the first kind of quote said that we spoke about, it means that you're not just sailing through life. It's given so much more purpose. So if you find yourself in a position where you feel directionless in your weeks, you're not sure what has to be done, you know that you want to be better, you know that you want to achieve a goal, whether that's losing weight or improving as a whole, but you don't know how to actually do that, those two things are going to help. So planning your weeks, reviewing your weeks, that's going to help you know what needs to be changed and know how to push forward with your weeks and ultimately make it a successful one. Now, if you struggle with this, I have 5 questions I ask myself every single week. I've done it for almost a year now. I use the exact same 5 questions every single week. It basically asks me what went well in the week, what didn't go well, what am I going to change for next week, various things like that. If you want access to that, I'll send you for free. Literally, just the exact same 5 questions. You can use them, and I guarantee it will help you. So if you don't know what questions to ask yourself, drop me a DM. Just ask me, "Hi Connor, can I get your weekly review?" I'll send it over to you for free. Because it can be quite simple for me to say to you, "Listen, go and review your weeks." But then you sit down to review your weeks and you're like, what do I ask? Because the quality of your answers are only as good as the questions that you ask. So if you're not asking good questions, you're not going to get a good response. It's the same when I'm coaching people. If I want good responses from my clients, if I want to really dig deep, I need to ask good questions. And that's what you need to do with your weeks as well. So if you're reviewing your weeks and you want to review your weeks to help make your routine more successful, you need to be asking the right questions. And I will give them to you for free. So just DM me on Instagram. I'll send them over to you from there. Habit number 3 is going to be a nighttime routine. Now, the reason I say nighttime routine is because it is not a morning routine. And I want to make this very, very clear why I'm going over this and why I believe this is such a successful component of everybody's routine. It is what happens at night. Because a successful day starts the night before. See the world we live in, everything on Instagram, everything on YouTube that you find, it is all morning routines. Like, oh, do this when you first wake up. Like, I don't know, jump in an ice bath, expose yourself to sunlight, read X amount of pages and stuff. Listen, some of that will be great, some of it might help you, okay? But the vast majority of people fuck up because they've not planned the night before. They wake up in a rush and then you know how it feels. See if you wake up late and you either get to work late or you just start your day on the back foot, it doesn't feel good. And people associate that with just the morning. That comes from the night before. The reason you woke up late is because you didn't set the alarms the night before. Or if you slept through your alarm, you didn't set contingencies the night before. I set 3 alarms on 3 different devices. That might sound ridiculous, but one time it was about 3 years ago now, I slept in for a client, okay? I slept in over 2 clients. So I had clients from like 7 till I think it was 10 or 11 in the morning. And I was staying at my girlfriend's house. My phone was the only thing I set my alarm on. And my phone had a problem with the battery. So this is entirely my fault. I had a problem with the battery. It was about 60% charge. So I left it and I thought, that'll be fine. I didn't have it on charge. And what happened was my phone had died overnight. So then my alarm didn't go off. And I remember my girlfriend waking me up and she said, "Shouldn't you be at work?" And see the fear that was struck through me. It stayed with me to this day. So basically I missed out on 2 clients because I did not plan the night before. Now people associate that with the morning, but that was the night before. If I had set 2 alarms, a backup alarm, I wouldn't have failed that morning. And that's something that stayed with me ever since. So people always associate their morning routines with setting them up for the day, but believe me, it happens the night before. It's what you plan the night before that gets done the next day. And I believe that's one of the most impactful things that I've done, because I've tried every morning routine. I've tried loads of different things, but it's the night before that's so impactful. Because with this, one of the things that I've even done is, see if I've had a really busy week, it's been strenuous, my weekly plan is there, but I've somewhat gone off it, and I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do in the morning. Literally, see, just doing what's called an attack list, basically a to-do list. You're like 3 to 5 things for the next day. What would make the next day a good day? That is preparation. Don't leave it to the morning when you're tired, when you're fatigued. Because when you wake up early, the last thing you want to do is go and write an attack list and plan your day. You just want to get up and get straight to your day. That's what I believe is one of the most impactful things that you can do in your mornings. Isn't a specific routine like going, "Hey, bath, do this," because then what people become is they become fragile with that. Because if they don't get that, they feel like the rest of their day is ruined. Like, oh, I've not had my morning ice bath, or I've not done my morning journal or whatever. Like, I try to journal in the morning, of course I do, but I plan it the night before. I make sure it's out of my bed, it's this, it's that, and everything. Everything comes from the night before. A successful day, as I said, starts the night before. So put more emphasis onto what you do the night before, not on the morning. Because see, when you look at your day and you think, when do you feel most energized and best? It's not first thing in the morning, as soon as you get out of bed. That's when you feel most tired. At night, yeah, you might be starting to get a little bit fatigued, but you're up, you've been awake all day. So you can get stuff planned. It takes 5 minutes extra. Plan the night before. I guarantee it, if it's you, if it's Jeff Bezos, Jeff down the pub, if you plan the night before, it will make your next day so much more successful. Now, from what I was just speaking about, there's a really good quote by Alex Hormozy. I really, really like this one. And what he said was, America was built on the backs of men who smoked cigarettes, drove without seatbelts, and had bacon for breakfast. If you miss your biohacking routine this morning, you're going to be okay. Now, what he means by this is, see, when you look at look at the world in terms of the Industrial Revolution, right? What these people lived through. Nobody had fancy morning routines of that. What they done in the morning is they got up and they got to work. See, when you look at all these millionaires and everything like that, they might talk to you about, oh, I do this first thing in the morning, whatever. See, when they were going through there and they were growing and they were improving and they were getting to the position where they are now, do you think they were really getting up and going through this special morning routine? No, they were most likely getting up and getting done what has to be done. So whether that for you is getting straight up and going to work or getting up and going to the gym, great, get up and do that. But that happens the night before. You plan for that. You plan out, you put out your clothes the night before. You plan an attack list the night before. You make it clear what has to be done. So when you wake up in the morning and you're the most tired that you'll be all day, it's very clear on what you have to do. You're not relying on yourself first thing in the morning to go and move things about and change. So I genuinely think that's so important from that. If you take one thing from that quote, it's just that you do not need a special morning routine, but planning the night before really can help. It can give you clarity, give you direction for your weeks. And that, to me, has helped transform my routine. And to me, it's such a successful component of it from there. So basically, my take from that is, don't overcomplicate things. Do what has to be done. That's what gets done in the morning. The night before helps give you clarity for that. Now, habit number 4 is the only individual habit which isn't directly correlated with routine itself in terms of like planning your weeks, you're reviewing your weeks, obviously planning the night before, not focusing on the morning routine, so really focusing on that nighttime routine. This one is movement. There's a very specific reason that I say that, because I don't mean movement in the sense of a very specific kind of exercise, and I don't mean it specifically for your physical health. I mean because of the mental effects of it. See, for a successful routine, movement is going to help every aspect of it. Now, that could be getting steps in, it could be going to the gym, it could be doing literally a 10-minute workout that gets a sweat going. It's so important for your mind to get moving. Because if you have a stagnant body, it starts to suffer, then your mind will start to follow that. I genuinely believe that every single human being on earth could benefit from movement at some point in their day. I think it will make your routine so much more successful. And again, this doesn't need to be a specific workout. It could be getting outside and going on a walk. It could be going on a walk on a fucking treadmill, right? It doesn't really matter. Just movement. Movement is medicine, as they say. I genuinely do believe that. It will put you in a better psychological state. Not just a physical state, but a psychological state for pushing yourself and really enduring and pushing on with your day from that. Because what it gives you mental clarity going forward. You think of the endorphin response from exercise. Now, the endorphin response that we get from exercise helps with so many things. It helps with stress relief, improvement in mood, increased energy, increased stamina, reduced tiredness, and increased mental alertness. Imagine I said to you, there's one habit that you can do that does all those things. So it relieves stress, improves your mood, increases energy, reduces tiredness, and increases your mental alertness. You'd be like, fucking hell, what is it? Let me do it. And I tell you it's exercise, and you're like, maybe. Like literally, it's one of the very few things that can do all of that, and that comes from that endorphin release. Okay, so that is why I genuinely believe that it should be in everybody's routine. I believe it will make your day more successful. I believe it will make your week more successful. Because the things that make a routine worse and make you suffer tend to be stress, tend to be reduced mood, reduced energy, reduced stamina, increased tiredness. All these things that you get when you don't exercise. Okay, now that's why I mentioned that as the one habit that I would add into your weeks. The rest of them, 100%, you can put in your week. That one, everybody should definitely be doing that one going forward. Now, from today's episode, I will summarise a little bit in terms of what I believe are the 4 non-negotiables that everybody should be doing to make their routine more successful. And that is, create a weekly plan. It gives you direction, it gives you clarity with your weeks. It makes you aware of what has to be done to become the type of person that you want to be. If you don't have a plan, then no wind is favourable, as the quote says. you're just sailing in no direction, you don't know where you're going to end up, create a plan. It gives you structure to your week. If you're somebody who finishes your week and feels like, you're like, I don't know if the week was good, I don't know if it was bad, create a weekly plan, set clear intentions for your week, and that will help solve that problem that you're having. The next one is reviewing each week, because with self-improvement, we need to look back. And as the quote says, let me find it here, by looking back, we can basically improve the future. Here it is here from Seneca. Yet our plans for the future descend from the past. So looking back in the past to improve the future. That is what reviewing your weeks will do. A nighttime routine, as I said, in the morning, it tends to be when you're most tired. In the morning, I believe that you should prioritize just getting straight to work from there, and everything benefits from the night before. If you plan the night before, that could be something literally simple as laying your clothes out, packing your bag for work, getting your lunch ready for work, putting your gym clothes in the car so you don't forget them. See, all the things that make your day more difficult, whether it's sleeping in because you've not set the right alarms, or whether it's not packing your lunch for work, which puts you in a bad mood, or whether it's not packing your gym clothes, which means you can't go to the gym, you have to skip the gym. Those can happen the night before, and it makes the morning easier. So please, 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 if you're going to take one thing, take that, make your night times an emphasised part of your routine, and I guarantee you it will make your weeks more successful. The last one is in terms of movement. Movement is medicine. It helps improve all the things that we often lack in terms of alertness, in terms of energy levels, all these things. And it's truly, there's very few things on earth that will help you do that, but movement is one of them. Now, there's one quote that I'm going to leave you with to finish today's episode, and it's a quote I've used in this podcast probably more than any other. It's one of my favourite quotes by John C. Maxwell, and it's, of course, about routine, because today's episode was all about building a successful one. And what he said was, you'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret to your success is found in your daily routine. Now, this takes us right back to the start of the episode, where I mentioned that what you do in a day, in a week, in a month, it will dictate where you end up in life. It will dictate what job you have, what results you get, what you look like physically, what you feel like. That all comes from our actions that we do on a daily, a weekly, and a monthly basis. The 4 things that I spoke about today can help you make a routine that makes you more successful at doing the things that you need to do to become the type of person that you want to be. So you do not need to apply absolutely everything that you learn from this episode, but I hope at least one of these things can help make your routine more successful. And I hope it helps you in your own pursuit of constant improvement. So as ever, thank you for listening.